International Media TV. Television that listens to you. Hi, I'm Johnnie Burrell. Welcome to the program.
Vou sofrer, não me desmar, para ser ninguém, para socorrer, sofrer amargura, sofrer tortura, 500 anos.
Thank you for coming to the Gate of Return event celebrating the 550th anniversary of Cape Verde. The Museum of the African Diaspora is the perfect venue for this occasion. I would also like to welcome Ramiro and John Mendes to San Francisco. The Mendes brothers have dedicated their lives and music to Africa and the world, and to unite all of those who love peace. I want to say an aside that this is the first time that I have met the brothers, but I have been in touch with them by telephone, and we've exchanged information. And I really, and after I heard their wonderful CD, it's just terrific. I feel like I've known them all my life. So before I introduce them, I thought that I would try and put together the struggle of the African American people in this country for their freedom and the Cape Verdean successful revolution. So I'm going to be giving an excerpt of a speech I gave back in 2008. And it was for some Africans that were, they were actually celebrating Black History Month. And what I've done is take that whole experience of coming from Africa and your experience of going back and taking your country back. I think it's an incredible success story for us. It is something that we should cherish. Every single African American in this country should cherish what you have done. So I'm going to read the excerpt of the speech I gave in 2008 at City Hall in Oakland in honor of Black History Month. I think the struggle and subsequent victory of Cape Verdeans in the struggle for freedom gives hope to us all. The title of the speech is Beauty and Strength in Diversity. My remarks today are rooted in memories of growing up here in the Bay Area. I've added to the speech the struggle for independence of Cape Verdeans and how it inspires African Americans in their quest for freedom. And I dedicate this speech to the Mendes brothers. Those of us lucky enough to be born here before World War II grew up in a kind of mini United Nations. There were no ghettos at that time, only communities of rich and poor. Our neighbors were Japanese, Chinese, Greek, Irish, Portuguese, Italian, Armenian, just to name a few. That contact provided us with a comfortable rapport around those who are different, along with the respect for other cultures. With changing times, these cultures decided against the melting pot concept and chose race pride. With this choice came the growing awareness that we do not have to be the same, because there is beauty and strength in diversity. It is the very differences that bring out the excitement of intermingling with diverse culture groups. This speaks to the lesson we can all learn from the Cape Verdeans' fight for independence. Their fight was for the right to be who they are, and that can only be done when one has achieved true freedom, free from oppression and stifling of the human spirit. This is what African Americans have been fighting for since slavery. When we all learn to accept the special gift each culture has to give this country, we will be well on our way to recapturing not only the scientific and economic trends of the 21st century. We will have people representing every race, nationality, religion, and ethnic group in the world right here on our own doorstep. When America learns how to mine that pot of gold, it will become an economic powerhouse and spiritual guide for all those who are trying to move one step further toward a peaceful existence and regain our respect in the world. And we won't need a war to do it. This country has all the ingredients it needs to enhance its role as world leaders in a free, democratic society that has finally found the solution to people living together peacefully in a war-torn world. We will remain at war until we learn as a nation that true power cannot be taken by force, but bestowed by others who value your ideals and your courage to move humankind forward toward their higher selves. This is the great promise of America and the dream that brought so many immigrants to this country. Those whose ancestors were once slaves can reach out for their dream, knowing that the foreign land they were brought to by force can become a true blessing in disguise. A place that immigrants, Native Americans, and ex-slaves helped transform into the vision first articulated by our founding fathers. Ideas that still wait our action to make them a reality. And I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." End of quote. This is the spirit that sees to it that no one should be sick, go hungry, or homeless, be deprived of their human rights or an equal education. These are worthy goals, and the Bay Area is a microcosm of how to put those objectives and goals to work. But there have been obstacles thrown in our path, and one of them is our educational system. The scenario in this country is that if non-white people gain recognition and power through education, that somehow the white world will lose theirs. This is the deception that has kept races apart from the very beginning and is now eating away at our very souls. We are at spiritual war with each other while the world suffers from the negative impact. The truth is that we cannot live on this earth without each other. While we are fighting, the world is deteriorating at a pace so swift that humankind itself has become an endangered species. Education is the backbone of every civilized society. America needs to wake up and realize that every child it educates is an asset to this country and keeps us competitive with the rest of the world. Those who are not are liabilities. We must nurture our dance, our song, our joy, and yes, our spiritual lives. We plan to share it with a world that is in desperate need of healing, where money is not the grand prize. Love is. We must understand that it's time to tell our story, unvarnished, not through the eyes and through the prism of someone else's view of who they think we are. One great thing about being a journalist is that you must listen to others tell their story, get a glimpse of their ideas, implement what they are saying. My entire spiritual and intellectual development is a direct result of exposure to ideas, visions, and awareness of others who have a different view of the world. It is a liberating experience when you realize you cannot solve the problems of the world alone, but only in concert with others. That is the power of working and sharing with others. When you withhold wisdom, love, information, and understanding from others, the entire community suffers. We have been standing in our own light and then wondering why things don't change. We have been looking for a miracle, waiting on God to answer your prayers. Well, guess what? You are His miracle. God has the power of ideas, and He's created you to carry them out. We are His miracle, and your vision is going nowhere without you to put it in action. Perhaps Marshall McLuhan, the television historian, best describes my feelings about the future when he said, and I quote, "Personally, I have a great faith in the resiliency and adaptability of man, and I tend to look to our tomorrows with a surge of excitement and hope. I feel that we're standing on the threshold of a liberating and exhilarating world in which the human tribe can become truly one family, and man's consciousness can be freed from the shackles of mechanical culture and enabled to roam the cosmos. I have a deep and abiding belief in man's potential to grow and to learn to plumb the depths of his own being and to learn the secret songs that orchestrate the universe. I expect to see the coming decades transform the planet into an art form. The new man, linked in a cosmic harmony that transcends time and space. There is a long road ahead, and the stars are only way stations. But we have begun the journey. Thank you. Greetings. I'm here with two very, very wonderful, beautiful, handsome gentlemen that are on a quest and a mission for peace in the world. The Mendes brothers, Ramiro and John Mendes, are artists, composers, and humanitarians from Cape Verde, and they're spreading a message that needs to be heard, most particularly in this country, in the United States, and especially for African Americans, because they are the link that we have been looking for, waiting for, that ties us back to our mother country. And they've given that history now in a new CD, and it goes back to honor 550 years of being what we're not slaves anymore, right? What did you say we were? Captives. And I think that's absolutely marvelous. Welcome to San Francisco.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry, for inviting us.
Now, is this your first trip here?
This is my second trip here.
Second trip. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we welcome you because I can tell you the thing that excites me most is your concept about love. Because I'm not really going to be prejudiced when I say this, but most women are the people who talk about love. We don't hear men talk about love much. And men, of course, are the necessary injection of love that we need in this world because they're the ones that go to war.
That is
deep?
That is profound.
Yeah, right.
But we don't forget that the women are the emblematic symbol of love in our society, and we talking about love as the center of the family, and what is needed in a society for us to continue to unify the world and continue to propel humanity.
Well, you know what interests me as a mother? I've raised 3 sons. What is it about your childhood, your family upbringing, that instills this beautiful, powerful feeling of wanting love? That's a very important thing because it means, first of all, that you were both loved.
Well, Jerry, we grew up in the village. We grew up in the village of Paloncon in Fogo, and that was our first days of our lives. I mean, 0 to 16 in my case, and 0 to 14 in his case. So Paloncon was able to teach us the principles of life.
So the whole community was about love.
It was, and anything you do, the village, the whole village was responsible to make decisions to do which. So in other words, we got our base
from the. It takes a village to make a child.
That's exactly
right. And that's wonderful because that came from Africa originally.
Sure. It is an African...
All the rest of the that's one thing we as Africans know.
Yes.
But you felt it and knew it. We lost that.
Yeah. But right here in the U.S., when you look at the concerns of our community, the parents, you have all endured, sacrificed, and raised your whole entire community and children with love, with care, and it's that same love that we talk about in Cape Verde, the Morabeza, we call it Morabeza. That same way that we endured and overcome in Cape Verde, it's the same. It's the same theme. It's the same values that you used as African Americans to endure and to propel
That's right.
this country and to humanize this country
Exactly.
and to make it a more perfect world.
Yeah.
Not just for you, but for us and for everyone that has come to this country. So as we're celebrating the 550th anniversary of Cape Verde with the Gate of Return, and we're calling upon all our brothers and sisters to reconnect with the African continent, as we're celebrating this, we also celebrate this triumph with you.
That's right.
Because we recognize that it's a mutual triumph
Yes.
over adversity. You have triumphed, you have
Yes,
overcome,
yes.
we have done it, and so is the whole entire Atlantic African diaspora. We have arrived.
That's right. And I love the message you bring is that let's do away with the word slaves. No one is a slave. We were captives.
We were captives, and it's very important because in the African continent, every single child belongs to a kingdom.
Wow.
Those children that were put in those boats and those mothers and fathers, they're not abandoned children.
No, they're not.
They're not abandoned folks. These are the sons of the crown.
Exactly.
These are the daughters of the crown. These are, in many cases, the crown themselves.
Absolutely.
Because when you go to, let's say, for example, take the case of Guinea-Bissau, for example, Guinea, where most of our people came from. Came the Balantas, the Papel, the Manjacos, the Bijagos. When I'm talking about these different ethnic groups, they have their language, their culture, their gods, their society, and they have a kingdom. They belong to a kingdom. Just like in Europe, you had these different ethnic groups all had their kingdoms.
That's right.
They all had their deities. So,
That's right.
so to us, these Africans, all of us, were submitted to captivity.
That's right.
We were captive, and then submitted into slavery was a condition that we were submitted. But no one was a slave on the continent of Africa.
Well, you see, the thing that was drummed home to me that was a missing link, and if you don't have the missing link to the piece that you need, you're not going to find your way home.
Correct.
Okay. The key that you gave us when you say the gate of return, I love words, and a gate means that this is a gate to something,
Yes.
and you're telling me, guess what it's to? You're coming back home.
You're coming back.
You're coming back home. So the beautiful thing is that if you know how difficult it is to get this message to the African American people, because the media doesn't want to give it to them. It's a freeing thing to know that you have a place to return,
Well, yes.
because they've been telling you, like that TV show they've got out there, you're lost.
Oh no, you do have a place.
You're lost. Is that a TV show?
Yes.
You think they just made it up?
No.
They have a message in that thing.
Yeah.
You're lost. You don't know where you're going. You're eating bugs and all kinds of strange little things over here in the greatest, most powerful country on earth. Does that make sense? No, it does not.
No.
So what they're doing is implanting the opposite end when we're carrying the truth. So the thing what I love about what you're doing is you're doing it in music. All people love music.
Yes.
Greatest way to teach is music. And I'm hoping at some point we'll talk later about how we can get this music into the schools,
Yes.
because the schools love music.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, first of all, there's the middle school, which is great. You reach them on one level. But really the African studies departments of all these colleges around here. I'm talking about Stanford. I'm talking about the Peralta School District, which has 4 colleges. We're talking about UCLA. We're talking about the University of California. This is where your next movement should be. And hopefully we can get a group of people here in the Bay Area that can help you plot your next moves.
We appreciate that, and like John says, and continue to say, it's with the love that we can heal the world. The gate of return is the return, not only a physical return, but also it's a cultural return, and it's emotionally the return. It is a spiritually return above all. And figure if we can heal the soul of African people around the world and the friends of African people around the world, if we heal Africa itself,
Right.
we will heal the world, and that's what we want to do it with the music. We want to do it with the lectures, and to spread out this message there. You know,
I'll add that also beyond these universities, we want to go to the communities where the streets where you find all of us.
Yes.
Because a lot of these kids that might need this message are not also that you not find it in universities. We want to reach out to our people and let's reinterpret this history.
Absolutely.
Let's reinterpret it, because what we have survived as people is a monumental challenge that we have overcome in the 500 years that we've been brought to this new world.
Right.
And we've done it, though. We've survived, and we've done it with love, with care, and without dehumanizing ourselves.
Right.
You know, to the point that we hate people, or we're going out and committing crimes against people. What we want to say to our people is, look, you have achieved, you have overcome, you have triumphed over huge adversities. You need to respect and to treasure every human life, starting with yours.
Exactly.
Every human life needs to be preserved, needs to be kept. You need to appreciate your life.
Yes.
Because it is the sacrifice of mothers like you and fathers like you that we've got delivered into this generation.
Exactly.
We were not supposed to survive this.
As you say today, we weren't supposed to be alive.
No, we were not supposed to be alive. We were supposed to, if our ancestors survived the journey, they were supposed to have died 6 months
Exactly.
after arriving in the New World.
Right. That blew my mind, because that was the plan. They weren't going to be bothered with us. They could just bring us over here, let us do the work, and that was it.
But it didn't happen that way.
It didn't happen that way.
It didn't happen that way because we decided that we were not going to be captives.
No, we
but we
weren't.
were going to be families. We were going to create families. We were going to transform those societies into more humane
Exactly.
societies. That's what Douglass was fighting for. That's what Booker T. Washington fight for. That's
Dubois.
what Dubois, MLK.
That's right.
I mean, you go down
right
the
down the
line.
line.
You're yourself.
That's been my
Jerry
battle.
Rice.
That's
It's been your
my
battle all your life,
my
isn't it?
battle in the
to make
media.
America more perfect.
Make it more humane.
Make
And
it more
it's so funny that you say this, because, since I was very young, I kept saying, my mother used to always say, no matter what we would say, if we think it would be bad, my mother would say, God works in mysterious ways, His wonders to perform.
Isn't that love?
Isn't that love? Isn't that love? And that love? There's always another side. So I've always thought, when I thought about what was slavery really about, there has to be some transcending idea about why we were brought over,
Yes.
suffered,
Sure.
overcame it, and lived. And I said, and long ago, I've got several speeches I could show you. I forgot to find them.
Sure.
But I always said, I think we were sent here to humanize America.
You know what the difference is, and I think that we have to make a very strong distinction between the sailors and the folks who so-called came to the New World. These Captain Cook and okay.
Right.
By the time they got here, they had already received a very huge propaganda
Yeah, right.
that you're going to this
See
new
these-
world, but you are going there to conquer these people.
They're heathens.
These heathens, and they're not humans. So we have to understand that
They
that
were propagandized.
Yeah, that's right. They're propagandized. They were not. They don't represent the overall European family view of the world.
Yeah, that's right.
Because what we talked about how slavery and all the conquering of the New World took place. It was the business people of
That's
Europe.
right. They saw money in it.
They saw money in it, and they created a propaganda
Right.
to basically to brainwash, if you will.
They did. They brainwashed these people.
The great families and the great societies of Europe, especially the lower class,
That's
so
right.
that they
That's
can
right.
carry on their business.
That's
but
right.
that view is not the view of Europe. because Europe had
They
prior
had
to
they had
this,
a thousands of years on.
thousands of years of relationships with
That's right. With people of every walk of life.
That's right.
And the
That's right.
great relationships,
And
per
great
se.
relationships,
I
correct.
like, and I'm glad you point that out, because we cannot let a few representing
Everybody.
the mass.
Right, right.
Because we traveled around the world.
That's right. And you
we
met these
know
human
the great
beings,
people
right,
around the world,
right.
whether
Sure.
they Indians, they
That's right.
Chinese, they Europeans. We know the great people. They welcome you. They have the big love. So it is very important, especially for us that are on the road,
Right.
that have access to the
Right.
mass, to establish this, that we recognize the great people of the
That's
world.
right.
What happened years ago during the captives, during the trades,
Right.
it's still happening today.
Right.
That same thing is still happening today. So we're not going to get rid of that. We
Yeah.
just need to make sure that the love is spread out, that
Absolutely.
we recognize that there are great people there, and the masses are great people.
Exactly.
And you know what? People, even when they're performing in that negative way, they don't really want that. That's why they get sick.
You know,
It goes against everything,
Yes,
and they get sick.
Someone told me the story of Frederick
Douglass, yeah.
The master of Frederick Douglass, his wife was
Yes.
teaching Douglass how to read and write.
That's right.
That's right.
He married a white woman.
That's right.
That's right.
So the wife of the master was one that taught Frederick Douglass how to
Absolutely.
read and write.
Because she was humane.
That's right. She was humane.
And there are a lot of, and just like when I went to Sweden.
And she stopped. She
Exactly.
stopped teaching him after her husband said, "Don't teach this kid
Yeah.
to read and write,
Yeah.
because if you do, it's going to change
The
our
whole-
whole way of life."
That's right.
In our whole life.
But
yes,
you
sir.
can see that from the wife's perspective, that she didn't fall to the propaganda.
No, she didn't.
She looked at the Frederick Douglass just another human being.
Exactly. And that's why I say women have got that
That's right.
sensitivity.
That's what we have to go towards,
Right.
because the great people of Europe, majority, the great people were not on that platform.
No, they
of,
were
of-
not.
of hatred and
No.
division and
No.
so on.
That's right.
That concept was sold down to them by the merchants and
That
the business
wanted to
people.
make money.
They wanted to make money.
And I saw this so many times. I visited 4 continents, and one of the greatest adventures I had, which is in my book, was going to Sweden. They paid my way. When we got there, they called us to the consulate, where they said, "Oh, they're probably going to take the money back,"
Yeah.
And they brought us there to give us more money so that we could take the cabs around Sweden.
Yes,
They
yes.
treated us like, well, I always said when I heard on the Swedish radio,
Yes.
radio they call it.
Radio.
They said they played the record, and they said, "We will now hear 'I'll Be Glad When You Dead, You Rascal You' by Louis Armstrong." And I said, "I know I'm going to love this country." I knew it. And so, but to bring it up to date, we know those people are all around, and they always talk to me in this beautiful way in frickin' France
right.
and everything
That's right.
about, they tell us how beautiful we are.
They're
Because
the ones who rose. There's the one who rose for the call of emancipation.
Yes,
all over Europe.
All over Europe. They knew.
And out here.
And they had the history that cultivated the love in them to make that cry, that
Correct.
human cry.
Correct.
But let's bring it up to date, and let me tell you what I think. When I said, well, that's slave, then we had come here to humanize people, but we hadn't had the opportunity to do it.
Yes.
So I said, just wait, because God cooks just like everybody. You got to wait till something gets ready.
That's right.
Now what's happening?
Yes.
Foreclosures.
Yeah.
Now these are bad things that are happening. Foreclosures. People have lost their 401ks. They thought they'd have that forever.
Yes.
They've lost their 401k. Everything, the Wall Street goes down, everybody loses money. So these are the negative things. So what's God's plan in there? What is the good thing about that? These people now know what black people were looking for when they said, I don't have a job, I don't have money, I don't have a place to live. Now they're in a position where when you read the paper every week, somebody is accidentally stepping in front of a train, or they're having a nervous breakdown. Now is the time, and I think our time has come, that black people can do the greatest thing they will ever sing, why we were brought here. Sure. We are going to teach these people how to survive, because we have been without nothing. We have been without jobs. We were out of a job. We didn't starve.
Yes.
We were without a job. We still had love in that thing. And so I think the greatest learning period of America that this whole drama was made for is going to come true in what they think is the worst time in America is going to be the only time they're going to learn the lesson that God sent us all here for. What do you think of that?
Well, that is I'm going to say a few things in
Okay.
No.
Well, you know, America must not forget. America must not forget that we are still living the best time of our lives.
Absolutely.
We have 300 million people.
Uh-huh.
We have a beautiful society, a beautiful infrastructure, very strong citizens, healthy. You know, just because you have 1 year or 2 years of stumble doesn't mean that you've fallen.
No, you do not.
No.
You still have
This
life.
is a very powerful, creative society. I believe that it is our belief that when you look upon the horizon, you see this great multicultural, multiracial society ready to be citizens, full citizens.
Exactly.
Full citizens of this country.
And ready to be taught.
You want to open your heart and let them in.
Right.
Let them in. What the election of Barack Obama showed us is that America, both white and black, and all the shades in between, is ready for a new world.
Yes, they are.
They're ready for the 21st century, the world of the whole Creole multiracial society.
Exactly.
We need to embrace this.
It-
And right at this moment where we are feeling the pinch, and release the energy that is being trapped in you and
All of us.
all the people of color
Right.
that feel like they don't belong.
Right.
You
Well,
belong. You made the country. This is yours.
Absolutely, we built it.
Yeah.
And in closing, what I know the time has gone so fast, but I want to say that I think we can leave with the fact that when the people of Haiti had everything taken from them, their families destroyed, their homes destroyed, and everything else, they stood there that evening and they sang.
Yes.
And for once, the world saw we will never conquer these people. We might as well learn from them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the spirit that all of us hold within us. And most of all, they have never taken our joy.
Oh,
Have they taken our joy?
Yes.
No way.
No, and they will never do it. And I want to say this, that again, it's an honor to be with you
Oh,
here.
thank you.
And we want to say also that we have a Music and Life Foundation.
Oh, yes. And one.
Music and Life Foundation, which we're going to use music and the power of music to
Yes.
heal the
Yes.
world, to
Right.
bring
Right.
more love,
Right.
more
Right.
messages, the right messages, the good
Right.
message for the people.
And
Please.
so all I want to say is, and our dedication from this day forward in the Bay Area is, we're going to help you do it.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's
Thank
the
you so
world right there.
And
Look,
we
man.
are right. And I hope you're going to help them do it as well. In your communities, we're about bringing love back into the world. Thank you so much for joining us.
Mora Beza, Mora
Thank you.
Beza.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are something good.
Okay.
Voe, poder, beleza, seria coração. Voe, quer ser, pureza, segredo de minha emoção. Voe, pesadinha, voe, minha, voe, dona minha vida, voe, pesadinha.